Are you interested in the boundary between this world and the other world? Since ancient times, people have built and maintained barriers to separate this world from the spirit world. Welcome to the realm of the unknown. This time, we'll delve into the mysterious barriers connecting our world with the other, exploring their intriguing origins and roles in protecting us with their unseen power. As you watch, please remember to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. 1. What is a barrier? Its mysteries and power. A barrier, or kekai, is generally understood as something that separates this world from the spirit world. The torii gates and stone monuments often found at shrines and temples, even gravel paths laid on the ground, are actually forms of barriers. These barriers, imbued with invisible power, are believed to differentiate between the real world in which we live and the spirit realm, where supernatural beings reside, thus protecting us. The concept of barriers is not limited to physical boundaries, but also encompasses an invisible spiritual shield. This shield is thought to guard us from harm and keep malevolent forces from influencing our world. 2. The origins and history of barriers. The concept of barriers is not exclusive to Japan, it can be found worldwide. In China, for example, barriers are created based on feng shui, and it is believed that the arrangement of entrances and bedrooms can bring happiness. In the West, crosses and prayers have long been symbols used to repel evil. In Japan, the origin of barriers goes back to ancient times, when rituals and prayers were used to invoke spiritual energy and form protective barriers. Barriers have been deeply intertwined with religious practices, with their power believed to be amplified through Shinto and Buddhist ceremonies. 3. Barriers at shrines and temples. Most Japanese shrines and temples are surrounded by barriers. Have you ever felt a shift when you pass through the torii gate and enter the shrine grounds? The torii gate serves as a boundary between this world and the spirit world. The gravel paths flanking the approach act as a barrier, preventing evil forces from entering. Purifying one's hands at the water basin. Temazuya before entering is also a preparation to cleanse oneself and enter the sacred space within the barrier. Inside these carefully prepared barriers, a sacred power fills the air, offering people a sense of peace and calm. 4. Barriers as boundaries between this world and the spirit world. Barriers signify the boundary between this world and the spirit world. In Japanese tradition, certain places like seashores, deep mountains, and bridges are considered boundaries between worlds, where barriers are often set. For example, paths leading to sacred sites like the Kamana Kodo pilgrimage route have designated areas with barriers, marking pathways filled with sacred energy. In mythology, locations like Yomotsu Hirasaka are believed to be paths connecting to the underworld. Places marked by barriers carry an unusual atmosphere, and it's believed that beings from the spirit world sometimes come and go through these boundaries. 5. Legendary powerful barriers in history. Many historical locations and events feature stories of powerful barriers. For example, during the Heian period, Onmyoji spiritual practitioners are said to have established strong barriers to confine vengeful spirits and curses. One famous example is the Four Gods Barrier, set up to protect Heian Kyo, with the four guardian deities Seiryu, Byako, Suzaku, Jinbu, safeguarding the city against malevolent forces. The Onmyoji Abe no Seimei was also said to have erected barriers to protect people from demons and evil spirits, and the legend of his barriers remains at Seimei Shrine to this day, instilling spiritual reverence among people. 6. The existence of barrier masters who maintain barriers. Throughout Japan's history, there have been kakeshi or barrier masters, responsible for establishing and maintaining barriers. Many of these individuals were spiritual figures like priests or monks, and during the Heian period, Onmyoji often assumed this role. Even today, some barrier masters specialize in erecting and maintaining barriers, performing spiritual cleansing and renewing barriers to protect people. They pass down techniques involving invisible energies through specific spells and rituals to reinforce barriers. 7. Frightening tales associated with barriers. There are many eerie tales surrounding barriers. For instance, one story tells of a person who broke a barrier around a mountain shrine and was subsequently caught up in spiritual phenomena. Breaking a barrier is said to allow beings from the spirit world to manifest, leading to possession or bizarre occurrences. Another urban legend speaks of an ancient cemetery whose barrier was disrupted, resulting in strange noises and shadows appearing at night. These tales illustrate the fearsome power of barriers and the mysterious force that resides within them. 8. Scientific explanations for the power of barriers. Barriers are believed to hold mystical power, but is it possible to explain this scientifically? The protective and cleansing effects attributed to barriers may have a significant psychological component. For example, passing through a shrine's torii gate or purifying oneself at a water basin brings a sense of calm and cleansing, likely due to the change in one's subconscious through rituals and faith. Psychologically, these acts are known as ritual purification effects, which help reset the mind and bring a sense of security. Places with barriers often have a unique atmosphere, giving a sense of proximity to the spirit world. This feeling can influence the brain, making the concept of a barrier more tangible through the suggestion that nothing strange can enter. Some scholars consider this a form of the placebo effect, but for those who believe in spiritual entities, scientific explanations can enhance the mystical allure. 9. Modern-day barriers and their significance. The concept of barriers remains present in our lives today. For example, certain plants placed near the entrance of a home or the arrangement of furniture based on feng shui can be considered types of barriers. These acts are often done unconsciously to protect oneself or one's family from negative energy from the outside. In architectural design, barriers may also play a role. For instance, setting up a gate or fence not only provides physical protection, but also blocks negative energy from entering. Recently, barrier-like areas have been incorporated into offices, hospitals, and schools to create spaces that ease tension. These modern barriers, much like ancient ones, bring comfort and stability to people's lives, integrating seamlessly into daily routines. Even as times change, the significance of barriers remains. 10. Conclusion: the mystery and reassurance of barriers. Throughout history, barriers have held a profound significance for people, functioning not only as physical boundaries, but as spiritual shields that protect us from the unseen forces of the spirit world. Believing in the mystical power of barriers provides a sense of security and peace. Barriers teach us to acknowledge this world and the spirit world, instilling respect and awe for spiritual entities. The act of purifying oneself or silently praying when entering a shrine may arise from the touch of a barrier, evoking feelings of reverence. People have held both fear and reverence for unknown forces throughout history. Often recognized as unseen forces, these powers have been woven into life as barriers, offering glimpses into the invisible world around us. Tonight, take a moment to reflect on barriers. Invisible barriers may exist around you, and perhaps, without realizing it, you're being protected by one. As you sense the presence of these barriers, contemplate the boundary that links our world to the spirit world.